Welcome into the show once again, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen's. I'm just checking to see here. Taking a little glitch on the Wi-Fi, I think. I hope this is not going to be one of those situations where I have to end the stream, start the stream again, or whatever, but it looks like it's going to be okay. It looks like it's going to be okay. All right, so welcome into the show, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a while. It's been quite a while, huh? I took 2 weeks off. Holy Week, of course, I knew I was going to take off. I was a little surprised that I got so busy that I wasn't able to do anything this past week in terms of my YouTube career as a stellar broadcast journalist in the area of pop culture. But we are here today, and we have a really big show for you tonight, ladies and gentlemen, a really big show. All the stuff that broke seemed to have all happened within the 2 weeks that I was not doing broadcasts. It's funny because I go week after week trying to find something to say, and a lot of times I'll just do a art stream to have something to do. But now there's a lot of stuff, and I considered maybe splitting this into 2 shows, but I know I'm probably not going to get to another show for at least another 3 or 4 days. So we're going to go as long as possible, as long as we need to cover all these topics tonight. So we're not going to fool around. We're not going to take too much time here. But of course, I want to start the show. First, God love you for being here. And I'm always eternally grateful for all of my supporters. Our subscriber count is still rising, and it's on the climb. So thank you very much to any new subs. I'll try to look back and see if I haven't welcomed any of them by name. I usually try to do that if I can find them. Sometimes YouTube doesn't give me the names of the subs. It's a kind of a strange thing. I don't understand why. It's different from Twitter, where it's very simple. You see somebody follows you, you can find out who they are and reciprocate and follow back. It's not like that with YouTube. I don't know why they don't change that. You don't know who's following you half the time. And the other half the time, you don't know who's unfollowing you, which is, or unsubscribing to you, which is quite annoying. Check out our website, The Adventures of Bullets, Bourbon, Private Eye, our comic book, which is now in the link in the description down below. I got to work on getting a domain name. I know that's something I really have to work on, but you can check out there if you don't see the link in the description below. You can always check out here where you can find it. And of course, I've got so much to talk about tonight. I'm going to leave the comments open, but I might not be able to see them. So again, apologies in advance. I always try to read the comments when we're doing a live stream. And before we begin, as usual, I want to admonish you guys to check out The Adventures of Bullets, Bourbon, Private Eye. But we've got something else to talk about here in regards. And of course, this is going to give me headaches, but let me see if we can get it on screen here. If you check out the link in the description below, you can find my website where we are officially announcing. We announced it a few weeks ago, I suppose, maybe a month ago, but we are officially now making it a go. The 2021 Johnnie Torch Here Goes Nothing New England Comic-Con Tour. Now, again, nothing is certain in this life. I am not going to promise you that this is going to come to pass, but I do have a few events booked, and hopefully I'll be able to attend and press the flesh and sell a couple of copies of The Adventures of Bullets, Bourbon, Private Eye to an astounded and awestruck audience. Of course, I pick a different quote or catchphrase or something to sum up what I think the tour will be. I think this year it will be Here Goes Nothing. Lando Calrissian going into the Death Star and hoping that he comes out the other side. That pretty much sums up, I think, what's going to happen this year at Comic-Cons around the world. But the first one we have lined up, of course, is Plastic City Comic-Con, which is run, of course, by the great and glorious Keith Gleason, creator of Mighty Mascots. And it's been a while, but I haven't been to this one before. I haven't been to Plastic City Comic-Con. It's been a while since I've met Keith. I've known him for a couple of years now, going to the Granite State Con, which will be the second one. that we have listed. But of course, the Plastic City Comic Con, July 17th, as far as I know. And again, I've seen some contradictory things about that, but I don't think Keith has really kept up with that website or that Twitter profile in recent months. So if I get a change of date on that, I'll let you know. Of course, Granite Con, this will be our third appearance at Granite Con. Been there twice before. Very good con, in my opinion. I really enjoy it. There's a lot of comic-centered goodness about it, but you got the other stuff there too. I of course, have partaken of the action figure sales there, and I got myself, what is that? The gold dress Harley Quinn action figure there last time I was there. Yes. And this one will be in Manchester, New Hampshire. Plastic City, of course, Fitchburg, Mass. So this is truly a New England tour for yours truly. Yeah, this one will be September 18th and 19th. It's a 2-day one. And, you know, we're looking forward to it. Hopefully it'll work out. Hopefully by then there will be no ridiculous mandates for masks and taking your temperature 5 times a day and so on and so forth. I'm not getting my hopes up that that'll be the case, of course, because I think a lot of people hoped this would have been over with 2 months into it. But here we are a year later, and we are still having these precautions, so to speak. But whatever the case, I will try to be there. I'm looking to put at least one more con appearance in my itinerary. And as I've always said, if you're interested in, you know, pointing me in the direction of a con that is reasonably within my striking distance, I'll be happy to attend. I'm looking at one now, but it hasn't opened up registration yet. So once it does, it's still kind of early days yet, but hopefully I'll get another con appearance in there. I usually do, what do I usually do? PillCon, Peabody. I don't know if they're going to have one this year. They probably won't. I think I would have heard of it by now because they usually hold theirs in May. So in the absence of that one, I'll probably try to pick up another con appearance. And again, depending on how these pan out, if there are more cancellations, I'll probably try to do flea market appearances like I did last year for the Fortune and Glory tour. And keep abreast of the facts and the shifting venues and timetables by visiting my website as often as possible. But we're looking to appear a couple of times this year, and hopefully it'll work out. Hopefully we'll have some fun, and we'll get to bask in the glory of Bullets Bourbon Comics once again. One more thing before we get to the actual news. You can check out my Twitter page in the link in the description below as well. There, we are having a poll of the week question, and if you visit my Twitter page or my website, you may be accustomed to my practice of doing a feature called Johnny's Jukebox, where every day on Twitter I'll put up another song that I like, usually that I like. And in this case, we've been doing for the past, I think it's going to be about 2 years now, we've been doing Superstar Week, where I pick out one artist or band and I'll play a song from them every day for a full week. This week, by coincidence, is Billy Squier. So, you know, be sure to check that out. You can find the week's worth of videos that I put up on my website as well, on my blog, Bullets Bulletins, on my website. But the poll of the week question is, I'm going to dip into a genre that I'm not particularly a huge fan of. Now, me, it's usually classic rock, 80s pop rock, even some of the, you know, the crooners. For instance, last week we did Tom Jones. The week before that, I think it was Richard Harris. And of course, Frank Sinatra will be coming up again pretty soon. So we run the gambit musically. It's not just pigeonholed into one type of thing. But I want to try to do some different kind of music. And so I put up a poll, and let me see. I'm not going to bring it up on screen, but let me read what it says here. I put 4 different categories, 4 different genres of music. And if you're watching this within the next 5 days of its broadcast, you can still vote. I'll pick an artist or band from one of these 4 genres, and I'll do a Superstar Week on them. but I'll have to acclimate myself to this first. I have to research some of this music because I'm not really, I don't dislike any kind of music really, but I am not fully immersed to know, who the players are in some of these band and some of these genres. So you can vote on which one you want me to look into. The first option is country and western. Second is gangster rap. Third is metal, heavy metal. And fourth is folk. Very different genres, very different types of music. Go to my Twitter page and vote which one you would like me to explore next week on Johnny's Jukebox. So far, it's a 3-way tie. I've only got 3 votes. Haven't gotten a lot of traction on this poll. But gangster rap, heavy metal, and folk are all tied for first place. Nobody voted for country and western yet, which I found surprising because I thought that was a pretty popular genre. But I am going to try and facilitate music from one of those. All right, so let us begin now. Let us not waste any more time any further. Let me see here what we have. I'll pull up my notes. And first of all, I don't have too many notes on these because these are the trailers that came out last week. All of a sudden, we're getting trailers out again. So let's take a look, and I don't really have anything prepared, so just off the top of my head, I'll tell you what I thought about some of these. Alrighty. This is captivating. I'm sure everybody missed me terribly while I was gone. This is captivating broadcasting, ladies and gentlemen. All right, here it is. I didn't have the image ready, but there we go. We'll do the Ghostbusters Afterlife trailer first. This was not really a trailer. This was sort of like a scene teaser, I suppose. Again, I don't really know what to expect from this movie. A lot of people, I think, myself included, are hoping this is going to be the full-fledged Ghostbusters 3, where we'll get, I'm hoping at least we'll get like a half hour's worth of the original cast. I'm guessing they'll probably sort of all just come in for one big scene at the end, or maybe the middle, but it'll probably only be 5 minutes altogether. That's kind of sad, the sad reality, I think. It'd probably be a little more than a cameo for these, because I don't think you get them all back for this. But I think it was also telling that Rick Moranis said something like, oh, why do I want to come back for a day's work on a movie I did, 35 years ago or whatever. I don't think they're going to have a lot to do. I think it's just they're going to probably come around, rub elbows and joke about the good old days or something for about 5 minutes. It's kind of, anticlimactic, I think, if we build up all this nostalgia and get all excited about this and it turns out to be something like that. But again, that's kind of where we are. They never got Bill Murray to agree to a Ghostbusters 3 when it was still a feasible project, when Harold Ramis was still alive. So I guess this is the way it's just going to be. The trailer or scene itself deals with Paul Rudd. It's a cute scene. I think it's funny because I'm a big fan of, I don't know if any of you remember this film, but Young Sherlock Holmes. And there was like a funny little vignette in that movie of Watson, and he had the little cream puffs like tying him up and doing like a Gulliver's Travels with him or something. And that's what this reminded me of. We got little tiny baby Stay Puft Marshmallow Men. And it's very atmospheric, sort of like in Dana's kitchen, that music, while Paul Rudd is watching them and they're doing their crazy little shenanigans. I thought it was cute. Again, it felt more in line with the original Ghostbusters than the original trailer did. The original trailer, to me, did not really feel like Ghostbusters at all. And that was a concern. That was concerning to me. But seeing this scene, it does kind of feel like they are going to bring out that kind of, quirky, sort of off-kilter comedic thing that they did in the original 2 films. So, I'm feeling a little bit better about it. Okay, so we'll move on now. Another trailer that came out just recently. we have the Loki trailer for the new Loki series that will be coming out, let's see, June 11th, 2021. And what can I say about this one? Owen Wilson is in it as some kind of Time Lord bureaucrat, I suppose, and they're pressing Loki into service to try to undo the damage that he did because of his endgame monkeying around with the Tesseract, and he survived. And I don't know, I'm sorely disappointed with Endgame. So to be honest with you, seeing them trying to clean up the mess, sort of tightening the nuts and bolts, trying to tie up the loose ends, whatever metaphor you want to use. Honestly, I could do without it. But to be honest with you, again, I just like the character of Loki. They're going to bring him back for the 37th time, and of course, Tom Hiddleston is great as Loki. And as long as he's playing him, because of course there were rumors that they're going to gender change Loki and all the other craziness that supposedly is, I don't know, in the mythology, and I don't know, but as long as it's Tom Hiddleston's Loki, I'm going to tune in, I'm going to check it out. But again, where do you really go from here with Loki's story? You're not going to put him into Love and Thunder. I don't know. I mean, I would probably rather see him show up there and interact with, Hemsworth again than just kind of monkeying around with Owen Wilson. But it could be a worthy setup for a future appearance in the MCU. I don't know. It kind of seems like these MCU shows don't really. Again, see, I don't want to be spoiled because I haven't seen WandaVision yet. I'm going to see them. I will. I haven't seen Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but I don't think there's a lot of connectivity to the films with these. They're sort of like cleaning up the previous films, I think. I don't think they're necessarily setting up something from the future. So I don't know. I don't really know what to expect from this. But we'll find out. We'll find out. All right, next up, we have the Suicide Squad, or Suicide Squad 2, as I prefer to call it. There's Harley. And we got two trailers for this at the same time, a red band one and a green band one. So this is, of course, going to be rated R, and I'm sure you're going to love hearing me tear into this again, this subject that I do so many times. But I watched the red band trailer first as it came out first, and I think the first half of the trailer was very good. It was very funny. I enjoyed it. I got excited for it. Then the second half, it turned into sort of what all of James Gunn's productions, for the most part, turned into. Vulgar, violent, a little too snarky, self-indulgent for their own good. And I just don't know why, DCEU, or I should say, I suppose, Warner Brothers, they've kind of had a feast or famine thing. They either go all in on their directors and just say, go ahead and do your thing, like they did with Zack Snyder the first two times. And they just are not restraining him, and they're just letting him do what he wants. And then, of course, they did the opposite, I think, with Justice League, where they were like, look, we're going to tell you what to do. We don't want this. We want this. The situation being what it was, he kind of backed off. Joss Whedon had to carry the water, and he basically acquiesced to whatever they wanted. That failed, and then they went back and brought in Snyder again to just once again let him do whatever he wanted. And again, there can't be this feast or famine thing. You have to tell a director, look, these are parameters that you have to abide by. You can't just go out and do everything you want. But at the same time, we want to give you the freedom. Excuse me. We want to give you the freedom to get your vision across. The same thing I think happened with the original Suicide Squad film. A lot of people are clamoring for the Ayer cut, David Ayer's cut, which is not going to happen. We've already been told. And it's it's difficult. It's like, on the one hand, I liked the original Suicide Squad film. Not a masterpiece, but again, that's kind of also with the fans. The climate is always seems to be feast or famine. It's either horrible or it's terrific. The Suicide Squad was serviceable. It was fine. I thought it was good. Again, not a masterpiece. But instead of trying to work on things that could make it better, it seems to me like they're gonna just throw everything down the James Gunn, fandom. Basically, if you're a James Gunn fan, you're gonna love this. If you're not a James Gunn fan and you're more a fan of the Suicide Squad, the Harley Quinn, and some of the other characters, you're probably going to just get James Gunn's version of them. You're not getting, the comic accurate film. Now, again, I know that a lot of people are going to say, "Well, you haven't seen the movie. How do you know how accurate it's going to be?" But it's judging by what James Gunn has done in the past, I'm kind of basing this opinion on, because Guardians of the Galaxy, he didn't need to be too comic reverent. Guardians of the Galaxy was great, but let's not pretend that this was somehow the most accurate portrayal of those characters. Most of us had never heard of those characters before. I know I didn't know of most of them. I, of course, heard of Thanos, and I think Rocket Raccoon I had heard of before, but I mean, I really didn't know the personalities of Gamora and Star-Lord and so forth. And they're not necessarily completely comic accurate either. So I think Gunn does better with a scenario where he doesn't have to fit in too much with the character. Now, I'm sure they're not going to change Harley Quinn greatly. They're not going to change Amanda Waller greatly, because those are sort of mainstays of the DCEU that they can't really monkey around with. But I don't really know to what extent they're going to do with these other characters. All right, so then the other trailer, the Green Band trailer, wasn't really particularly that much different. I mean, I don't know. It feels like they just tried to showcase more of the characters. I think they tried to showcase the humor in the first one and more of the characters in the next one. We've got the Thinker. We've got Ratcatcher, I think her name is. We've got Bloodsport, I think is the name of Idris Elba's character. And King Shark, of course, who I think is supposedly voiced by Sylvester Stallone. I don't know if that's confirmed yet, but he was a lot of fun. And Starro. Starro is going to be the main villain. That's pretty interesting. I don't know. I kind of would think that would be a Justice League villain. But again, I think the wackiness of it, a huge starfish, is kind of what makes, it gives the WB pause, and they figure, well, let's give it Suicide Squad. I don't think they're necessarily going to have a problem with something that zany and wacky. Also, so I mean, basically that's it. What else can I say? I think they managed to change, they changed the curse word from the Red Band trailer to the Green Band trailer. If they would just basically put out two versions, I've always said this too. I mean, I think, as I've always said, that these characters are made to appeal to a young audience, to a younger generation of fans that need to be brought in. If you bar the door for the young generation, you're not going to bring them in. And you're going to see the genre fall in on itself and become extinct. Happen to the Westerns, it could happen to the superhero genre. So you need to enfold the next generation, bring them in. You can't do that if you're going to make it conspicuously R-rated. Of course, I'm going to have to keep coughing during all this. But if they're so inclined that they need to do the director's vision, and he needs to have it with R-rated material, he needs to have F-bombs, he needs to show characters eating and tearing apart other characters, there is such a thing as a director's cut. They could just put some of that back into whatever DVD release that they want for the James Gunn / rated R superhero fans. I'm not saying don't make that material available. What I am saying is, if you want to keep the genre viable and mainstream, you don't bar the door to the kid fans, because you need them. They're the bread and butter. They're the life's blood of the genre, because without them, it just becomes a fad that passes away without the next generation getting involved. That's what happened to the Westerns, as I've said many times. You didn't introduce the next generation. When I was born, the Westerns were pretty much on their way out. I don't think there was a popular Western in my lifetime. I mean, there was Western still, but they were all R-rated, and that's why they didn't become this huge genre that it had been in the 30s and 40s and 50s and even most of the 60s. Before the 60s started, of course, the turn towards mature themes in Western films and the deconstruction of the Western genre. But again, I've said this many times. It is what it is. As I said before, I'm probably going to pass on this in the theaters. I'll do like I did with, what's it called? The Emancipation of One Harley Quinn / Birds of Prey, and probably pick it up on DVD when I can get it for like $10 or something. But I don't know. I cannot support these films that are just not providing anymore. I mean, it's the same thing with the Batman. If you're not going to stay away from the race changes of characters, I'm not going to bother with you anymore. I'll go back and watch the Christian Bale Nolan films. That's fine. You could do all this crap. I'm not supporting you. It's the same way with the R-rated films. It's like, all right, maybe I'll check them out on DVD, but I'm not going to go and make you have a multi-million-dollar weekend at the box office. Of course, in this case, these things are going to be on HBO Max as well, so I don't think they could lose either way, because a lot of people that wouldn't normally go to the movies to see this might still, because they have HBO Max, and well, why not, right? So again, I don't know. I hope it's good. I hope it's not going to be a complete disappointment, but such is usually the case with these things, with me anyway, the R-rated films, because it seems like the DCU are going all in for it. I think the MCU has promised that they're going to do an R-rated Deadpool 3, but that's about it. That's the extent of it. So I don't think they're going to like do what the DCEU has done, to the extent of like probably half their output now is all adult. All right, so the last one, we're going to look at the Black Widow trailer. Again, I don't really have a lot to say about this trailer, because I think we've seen, I don't want to say we've seen everything from this trailer before, but we've got the blue-haired kid, which I guess is Natasha when she was young. And again, this is sort of moving it into a real origin film area, where I guess they're taking her from her childhood. And I don't really know enough about the Black Widow's childhood, so this would really be interesting to see how they move her from being a child to a female assassin. And that's where Rachel Weisz, is that how you pronounce her name? And the what's his name, Red Guardian, comes into it, where they're sort of the de facto parental figures for these girls. It's a very interesting looking film. I mean, like I said, I don't think we'll ever get the Black Widow film that I always wanted, but I do think this, judging from the trailers anyway, it looks like a good time at the movies. It looks like it's gonna be respectful of Black Widow. I think it's probably gonna hand the baton to Florence Pugh for the future. I don't know if that bodes well for ever seeing Scarlett Johansson again as the Black Widow, but again, like I said, I feel like this is a film that should have came out about 10 years ago, but what are you gonna do? It's here now. I'm cautiously optimistic. Let's put it this way. I don't think there's anything to be really disgruntled about, viewing the trailers. But again, I don't know. It seems like it's a little too late. All right, so let's take a look at, this is a subject that I like to call what are we going to call this? What are we going to call this this segment? We'll call this segment Moving the Movies Around. All right, so so apparently we've got films moving around, possibly for the last time. So let's do this update on when everything is coming out for 2021 for possibly the last time. This might be the last time. I don't know, as the Rolling Stones quite aptly said in the 60s. All right, so The Black Widow was supposed to come out next month. They moved it once again. This is allegedly going to be the last time they move it. Let's see. They will be releasing it on Disney Plus as well as theaters on July 9th. July 9th, we'll finally get to see the Black Widow in action. Now, Disney Plus, they're not doing the same thing as Warner Brothers, where they are going to let you watch it on HBO Max for nothing because you got the HBO Max subscription. No, not so for Disney. Disney Plus will charge you $30 on top of your subscription to watch the Black Widow. Now, this to me, I think is a recipe for disaster, but I think it's a good thing in the sense that they want to get butts in seats, because I don't know many people that won't go to a matinee for, how much does it cost for a matinee nowadays? $6 or $7. I haven't been to the movie since, well, we've seen Wonder Woman 84. I forget what that costs, $7 or $8 for a matinee. You know, why would you pay $30 to sit at home if you can go to a matinee for $7 or $8? And it's the same question that people are going to ask themselves. Are you really that terrified? Are you that terrified to leave your house that you're not going to go to the movies? So if it means that much to you to see Black Widow, and you're that terrified that you're going to lose your life by going to a movie theater where the seats are separated and you're forced to wear a mask and they've got the air circulators blowing constantly, then you deserve to pay $30. You deserve to pay $30. Absolutely, you deserve to pay $30 because you're stupid. All right? You're stupid. So I don't have a problem with this, I guess. I mean, I'm going to go see it in the theaters anyway, so hey, that's on you. All right, so looking at the rest of the MCU's itinerary, let's see. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings will now come out September 3rd, 2021. Is that correct? Yes, okay. The Eternals will come out November 5th, 2021. Boy, they got some big movies that they've been sitting on, and they're all coming out at this juncture. It's amazing. Spider-Man No Way Home will come out December 17th, 2021. Again, that one, I don't know if I'm going to go see. It's another one where I think I might just bow out. But especially since it's near Christmas, I don't like going to movies near Christmas because I'm broke, seriously. Don't schedule your movies around Christmas, but they do it all the time. But it depends. If Tobey Maguire is in it, as is alleged, I'll probably see it. If not, I don't know. But I can't believe this movie's going to be out this year, because have we even gotten confirmation of the villain? I think by now, usually there's confirmation of a villain. I mean, I think most people are putting their, I don't know, are most people putting their money on Craven? Or is it, gee, it's been so long, maybe they did announce the villain, and I just don't remember. That's probably what it is, because I actually have no use for MCU Spider-Man. All right, Thor Love and Thunder, February 11th, 2022. So again, that one is on pace to come out. They're all being spaced by the amount of a month or two. It's pretty interesting. And finally, at least the only other ironclad one we know so far is Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, March 25th, 2022. So that's honestly the one I'm most excited about. I kind of feel conflicted about the other ones. I mean, Black Widow, I like to see Scarlett Johansson play Black Widow again, especially after her character was, assassinated somewhat in Endgame, both literally and figuratively. Thor, I don't know, maybe I'd see that as a laugh, but hoping that they can redeem that character from Endgame. Endgame honestly did more harm than good to any of its characters. I don't know if there was really one that came out unscathed, honestly. I mean, of the core Avengers, the original Avengers, maybe Hawkeye, and it was to make it up to him that he's sort of like an ancillary character. All right, so there's your schedule of all the films being moved. Also, we've got news of Venom, which I should have put a Venom card up because I guess that's not an MCU film, but we'll talk about it here anyway. I don't think anybody will object to watching Scarlett Johansson while we're talking about Venom. So, Venom is now, let's see, Venom Let There Be Carnage. Good title. I like that title. Is being moved to September 24th. I think it was originally later in September. I'm not sure. I don't have all the facts here, but this delay sets it on a potential collision course with Dune, which opens the following week, and MGM's No Time to Die, October 8th, which serves as Daniel Craig's final outing as 007. Also, October 8th, Morbius is scheduled for release. The Sony solo villain film about Michael Morbius with Jared Leto in the titular role. So everything, again, is getting all smacked up together against each other here in the fall. I don't know what this portends for the success of any of these films. A lot of people are complaining about Dune because since it's such close proximity to all these other films, it might suffer the most. I don't think we have to worry about Venom. I think Venom will be fine. I think that's going to work out. No Time to Die will probably crush Morbius, though. So if I was the Morbius people, I might consider moving that one. Perhaps, maybe a little closer to Halloween, right? Why not? Morbius, Vampire, Halloween. That makes sense to me. And finally, the Snake Eyes film, the G.I. Joe film, Snake Eyes, that will be moving up from its original date. I don't think I have a picture for this. No, it's all right. It is moving up from October 22nd to July 23rd. And this is strange because we have not seen also any footage from this film. We have not seen any, stills, camera tests, anything, nothing. And I don't know, it's getting pretty close to time for these films to start cranking out promotion and ramping up promotion. Maybe this is the new way of doing it. I mean, maybe you don't want to beat your audience over the head for the next 3 months. Maybe you want to just do it like a month before the film comes out, drop 2 trailers within 2 weeks and then be done with it. I don't know. Maybe that's the way to go. But, we got a title card or something for Snake Eyes. Again, as a long-time G.I. Joe fan, as a lifetime G.I. Joe fan practically, I don't know what to feel about this because, again, they're changing the character of Snake Eyes a lot, apparently, in this film. They're giving him some kind of origin. He's going to be Asian, which I don't believe he ever was in the comics or in the animated series. I don't think, and again, I'm not an expert on G.I. Joe. I mean, I've been a fan for all these years, but I can't claim to have read every comic or seen every iteration of the animated series. But I don't really think this is a good idea, to race change the character, see what he looks like under the mask. If it's an origin film, before he puts the mask on, hearing him talk, which he never talked in the comics. He didn't talk in the movies, the previous movies. I don't really know what they're planning to do here. I don't know if this is even tied to the previous movies. Is it a prequel? I'm not sure. But I don't know. Very concerned. All right, so let's take a look at a couple of other news items here. Let's see. There is a little news blurb here about the Static Shock movie. Michael B. Jordan has boarded Warner Brothers' planned Static Shock movie as producer, and the project has now found a writer. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Randy McKinnon, who has previously worked on Disney Plus football drama Safety and Netflix Chambers, is signed on to pen the script. Static debuted in the pages of the now-defunct Milestone Comics back in the 90s before being rebranded as Static Shock for his own animated series a decade later. The character was then reintroduced as part of the mainstream DC Comics universe in 2008. For those unfamiliar with the hero, as am I, Static Shock is Virgil Hawkins, a teenager who transforms into a superhero who gains electromagnetic powers after being exposed to strange gas. I'm familiar with the character only a little bit from the animated series. I really didn't watch the animated series as a kid. I seen the episode with him and Batman or something. I forget. They were trying to, again, at that point, they were trying to weave him into the DC universe. But I've always said I'd like to see, I would go see a Static movie or watch a series, because this is the way to do it. That's what Milestone did. They were making their own black characters. They weren't trying to tokenize a character and say, we need a black Superman, we need a black Wonder Woman, we need a black Spider-Man. No, they created their own characters. Respect. And like I said, I would go see this film when it comes out, because you want to support and respect when they are doing the right thing and they're not just race changing a character and maybe taking another character and slapping a new persona on it, Miles Morales. This is what you should be supporting if you want to support diversity in the superhero genre, in the film genre as well. Yeah, so that's it. That's, I'm interested in that. So that's exciting news. Happy to hear that. All right, and another story about I think this is going to be a series. Let me take a look at the copy here once I get up there. Zatanna, I believe, is getting a writer. It's a movie, I guess. Okay, let's see. Academy Award nominee. Let's see. Academy Award nominated promising young woman director Emerald Fennell is set to write the Zatanna movie for Warner Brothers DC Films and Bad Robot. It seems she's been working on the story for a while. So I don't know who this person is. I'm glad that there's going to be a Zatanna movie. Let me just say that up front. I think this is going to be for the HBO Max market, because I think Bad Robot, I know that's J.J. Abrams' company, and I think he's the one that's doing something on HBO Max. I think he's behind a couple of things. I don't know. This might be one of them. Let's see. During an interview with Variety, Fennell was asked about her decision to sign on for a big studio superhero movie. She revealed she's been busy developing the project with Bad Robot, though it doesn't sound like she's actually put pen to paper yet. She was asked if she intends to direct, but says she has no insight on the studio's plans in that regard. Quote, "It's so exciting. That's not a conversation that's happened at all, so I have no insight. And also, we're still in the early days. It's something that we've been working on for a while. I've been speaking to Bad Robot, who are amazing. You want to get the first bit right, which is the script, before you think of anything else. It's a very specific thing. The world of superhero movies is incredibly exciting, but it's also a new, different challenge. The main thing for me is making sure that it's really, really good. I'm such a genre fan. I'm a fan of witchcraft, magic, and comic books, and this is scary and intense." So hopefully they don't race change the character of Zatanna. Hopefully they don't do any strange monkey business with the character and, muck that up. But I'm excited about this, too. I love Zatanna from the animated series, Batman the Animated Series, of course. She was a classic character there and made an appearance there, and she was a lot of fun. I hope they continue to use that kind of character. If they sort of base it on that version of the character, I'd be very happy. I'd like to know what they're going to do with her speaking backwards, though. What do you think about that? Should the actress learn to say these things backwards, or should they just have the film play backwards, have the audio backwards, so it sounds like... I think it's better to probably have the actress say the words backwards, but depending on how many times she has to do this in the film, that could be very cumbersome. But hey, I say go for it. Try it out. Why not? All right, so let me know what you think in the comments below about any of these subjects we've been talking about, but particularly I'm interested in what you think about a Zatanna film. What do you think you want to see in the Zatanna movie? Zatanna motion picture. Now is a major motion picture. That's what they used to say. All right, we've got some more. Oh, we've got more news. Oh, it's only been 45 minutes, and we've only hit the halfway point in stories. We've got an exciting story here about Black Adam. Yes, Black Adam is set to begin production. I I would have lost money if you were gonna bet me that this film would actually see the light of day and a camera would actually roll. I would have said no. I don't think so. This has been going on since 2015, I think, was when The Rock first was announced as the Black Adam in the Black Adam film and the potential series. I don't know. I think it was about then. But cameras have started rolling, and let's see. The film is planned to be released July 29th, 2022. Let's see. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson said in an Instagram post, "It's always the work we quietly put in when no one is watching that changes the game. Grateful for the grind. And the face of my warrior spirit always watching my back. Production kicks off this week." So, that's very exciting that they're actually going to do the Black Adam movie, but more exciting still is the gentleman on your screen right here. This is the main story that came out the past 2 weeks about Black Adam. Pierce Brosnan, 007 himself, Remington Steele, has been cast as Dr. Fate. Now, this is one of the very few just pitch perfect casting decisions that Warner Brothers has made in the DCEU. One of the few. I cannot find a single flaw with this casting. I don't think anybody should, to be honest with you. I don't think anybody can deny that this is great casting. The Rock as Black Adam is pretty good casting as well. Can't deny Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. After that, I would say Henry Cavill too, even though he hasn't been given any opportunities to really play a good Superman. But basically, there's like four right there. Maybe Zachary Levi is or Zachary Levi. I always get those confused. As Shazam, I don't know. But anyway, this is good casting. I like to see what they could do with a Dr. Fate movie now, with him actually playing Dr. Fate in a solo movie. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Pierce Brosnan has nabbed the role of Kent Nelson, aka Dr. Fate, in New Line's upcoming DC Comics adventure. He joins fellow Justice Society members Cyclone, Quintessa Swindell, Atom Smasher, Noah Sorrento, and Hawkman, Aldous Hodge. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson will play the titular anti-hero with Sarah Shahi, I don't know if that's pronounced right either, on board as Adrienne Tomaz, aka Isis. This take on Dr. Fate is described as the son of an archaeologist who was taught sorcery skills and given the magical helmet of fate. The role marks Brosnan's first foray into the superhero world. In addition to his iconic take on 007, he's appeared in The Thomas Crown Affair, Mamma Mia, The Matador, and Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. So, again, especially, I hope they don't, they have to keep the helmet on, but I imagine they are going to during the action scenes. But especially his voice, he's got a great voice for this character, I think, as well, which is another thing that probably sets him apart. Very exciting, and I think this is going to be great casting. Hopefully he gets his own solo movie after this. I think many of them they'll try to spin them off into something else. But we shall see. Let me know in the comments below. Sound off, if you will. Another story that came out that was good news, in my opinion. The new Gods film is being shelved. Yes. The Hollywood Reporter learned that Warner Brothers and DC Films have decided not to move forward with two of their previous announced films, Ava DuVernay's New Gods and James Wan's Aquaman spinoff, The Trench. Now, let me first say, The Trench sounded ridiculous. I don't know why they even toyed with that idea. All those little goony creatures down below in the water, and I don't know what they were going to do. I mean, just focus on Aquaman 2. Why do The Trench unless you're going to have Aquaman in it? If you have Aquaman in it, it's Aquaman 2 or it's Aquaman 3. You don't need a Trench film that doesn't have Aquaman. What are you supposed to be focusing on? I don't know. The years of Nicole Kidman being in there? I don't know. I just didn't see the point of it. And I knew it wasn't going to survive. And I'm glad it didn't survive. That said, now, talking about the New Gods, y'all knew Ava DuVernay was just a diversity hire for this. She did not know the New Gods. She was not a huge fan of the New Gods. Warner Brothers was just throwing something at her just to say, look, we want you to do something for us with the superhero genre. We got New Gods. I don't know what it's about. Kirby did something back in the years ago and whatever. Here, take it. And she's like, oh, I'm doing a superhero movie. That's fine. Then she got involved into that Naomi movie, or what is it, a TV show they're going to do? And she didn't care about the New Gods anymore, and there was no movement on it. And Tom King was supposed to write the script, I think. And it just fell by the wayside. And good. I say good. Give the New Gods to a dyed-in-the-wool Kirby enthusiast, someone who loves the property. And I'm not a huge New Gods fan, but I know enough about the New Gods that I would like to see a New Gods movie. I have no real desire to see the Eternals, especially just considering what I think the MCU are going to do with it. Because the Eternals are kind of, I think, his version of his own concept of the New Gods. I mean, Kirby kind of just did the same thing a couple of times there over the history of his career. But, I think, especially with the Justice League Snyder cut being what it was, I think they also wanted to distance themselves from showing Darkseid again that soon. That's another reason probably this was put on the shelf. But hopefully, like I said, someday we'll get someone that truly knows and loves the property to pick up on New Gods. All right, let me just take a look at the copy here fast and see if there's anything interesting. New Gods in the Trench will not be moving forward. The studio released in a statement, we thank our partners Ava DuVernay, Tom King, James Wan, and Peter Safran for their time and collaboration during this process and look forward to their continued partnership with us on other DC stories. The projects will remain in their skillful hands if they were to move forward in the future. That sounds scary. That sounds scary. They actually want to give this back to DuVernay if they actually start doing something with it. She's not going to want to do something with it anyway. They've left the door open for DuVernay and Wan to return to tell other DC stories down the line, which probably shouldn't come as a huge surprise since both are already working on other DC projects. DuVernay is currently developing the CW series Naomi, while Wan is already in pre-production on the Aquaman sequel, which will shoot at the tail end of the year. The Hollywood Reporter notes that the decision was made in part because there was no natural space in the upcoming DC lineup for the films, and they didn't want to leave two of their top talents hanging in limbo. Both projects could eventually be revisited, but with the Trench said to have a more standalone story and the studio wanted to create some space between Darkseid's role in Justice League and his next appearance, it seems unlikely. Yeah, that's kind of what I already said. All right, so again, good news. Good news abounds. And we'll hope for better things in the future. All right, we're winding down here. Let's take a look at some of the big stories coming out here now. This is pretty exciting. The Obi Wan Kenobi series. The Obi Wan series. Ewan McGregor getting that beard in shape. We got Hayden Christensen back. Oh, this is so exciting. We got Joel Edgerton back as Uncle Owen. Surly as all get out. Bonnie Picey, is that how you pronounce her name? Looking lovelier than ever. And a whole bunch of people that I have no idea who they are. Well, no, actually, of course, we got Hayden Christensen back, supposedly donning the costume again. Now, I'm hoping that they're not going to show his face. I mean, I don't mind if they have him remove the helmet, because that's the authenticity. That's why you bring Hayden Christensen in, because you don't want to just remove the helmet and have it be the back of his head like it was in Rogue One. That was the only thing that kind of insulted my intelligence. I was like, come on, get Hayden Christensen back, even if it's for a cameo. Maybe they just, maybe he didn't want a cameo. This is something more substantial, and that's why he'll do it. I don't know about James Earl Jones coming back. That'd be interesting. Indira Varma, I remember her as Mrs. Pucci from season 2 of Human Target, so familiar with her. Not too familiar with the rest of this cast. But again, it's a double-edged sword. I don't know whether to be excited about this or not, because on the one hand, this is the only real post-Lucas Star Wars film that I'm excited about. It's a miniseries, I understand. I would have been excited for the sequel trilogy had they not completely screwed up The Force Awakens. I looked forward to that film. I do not look forward to anything else ever since then because I know they well and truly do not understand Star Wars at Lucasfilm. This could be the biggest disaster known to mankind, and seeing as how the showrunner is a diversity hire and the cast here look like the League of Nations, chances are this is just going to be more woke nonsense from Kathleen Kennedy's Lucasfilm. Why she has not been given the boot is still anybody's guess. She's had how many years now to foul up the Star Wars universe? She was supposedly handpicked by Lucas, and all well and good, but the fact remains, we all know Lucas isn't satisfied by what they did with his characters, his saga, his storyline. This has the potential to be very, very bad. And again, I'm torn between saying, just do it anyway, because that's what I felt like when the sequel trilogy came out. Sequel trilogy was announced without George Lucas, and I was like, you know, as much as I love George Lucas, as much as I admire the man, as much as Uncle George has given us, maybe it's time for him to step aside. He's said clearly he has no other stories to tell in the Star Wars universe, particularly about the sequel trilogy. He was like, there's 6 stories in the Darth Vader saga, the rise and fall of Anakin Skywalker, his failure and his redemption. Fine, step away, let somebody else do something interesting with these characters, and we'll do the sequel trilogy, so we'll finally get to see Luke Skywalker again, and Princess Leia, and Han Solo. But it was the biggest unmitigated disaster. They should have just left it alone. I would rather have my childhood fantasies about what happened after Return of the Jedi than what they actually did. So again, this is sort of that same territory. Now, I'm looking into it thinking, how do you foul this up? How do you foul up Obi Wan Kenobi looking after young Luke Skywalker and fighting against the protectiveness of Owen Lars for his, new charge? And, that's like some good drama there. I want to see that. And I want to see it on the backdrop of Darth Vader continuing the purge and killing the few remaining Jedi that escaped a couple of years prior. And he's still on the war path. He thinks maybe he can find Obi-Wan. Is Obi-Wan alive or not? That's interesting. And of course, I would love to see Ian McDiarmid come back and be the Emperor. They keep pulling him back, poor Ian. And it feels like the last time I felt so bad for him. But anyway, but this could be an unmitigated disaster. This could be nothing like what we hope it'll be. This could be nothing like we want it to be. They could have Obi-Wan and Vader fight again, which, again, I don't know. I honestly wish that the main antagonist of this film would be Darth Maul, because they promised a Darth Maul appearance after Solo. And again, I kind of like Solo. We'll be talking about Solo in a few minutes, but I kind of liked it and what it set up. And I think it was clearly setting up a Darth Maul Obi-Wan rematch. But then they did it in Rebels, and then the namby-pamby, he already died in Rebels, they already showed it. That was terrible. That was a terrible episode. That was a terrible ending for Darth Maul. He comes out and he gets whacked across the chest and he dies. I mean, come on. Did you really expect that was how the big ending was going to be between Obi-Wan and Maul? These two titans that sort of, made their bones over the course of the Clone Wars, and it's just disappointing. I don't know. It's just sad. All right, so let me know what you think in the comments below. Is this going to be an unmitigated disaster? Is this going to be something that's at least palatable, even if it's not a classic, even if it's not a masterpiece? Can they still at least not make it totally woke? At least not make it that, a woman's going to save Obi-Wan every 5 minutes, and a black woman is the ruler of the galaxy, and I don't know, whatever else woke stuff they could force into this, instead of just telling a good story. You know what I mean? Just tell a good story. We're here for one thing. We're here to see Obi-Wan Kenobi and, the little kernels of story that we've gleaned from the prequel trilogy and some EU speculation. Just give us some of that. That's all we want. That's all I want. And hopefully Aunt Beru will have more than just one line. And that was my biggest complaint about Attack of the Clones. Well, it wasn't my biggest complaint, but I think that was one of my biggest complaints. The reason why that film also sort of disappointed me a little bit. It's my least favorite film of the original 6. They really didn't get into why the friction between Obi Wan and Owen. And I felt like there was a good story to be told there. There's a good story. Because we see Uncle Owen when he's older and he's crotchety, but when we see him in Attack of the Clones, he's just a young guy like anybody else. He's working on his hot rod and whatever. He's got a girlfriend, and it's like, how did he go from that to being like this crotchety old farmer? You know what I mean? And then you see the progression of Obi-Wan's character and how he interacted with him and tried to influence Luke in certain ways that Owen wouldn't allow him. There's a good story there that really doesn't need a whole huge backdrop of the galaxy, but I don't think we're going to get that. So I'm prepared to be disappointed again, probably, most likely. All right, so let me know what you think about Obi-Wan Kenobi. Oh, let me see. Oh, there's some copy. Let me see here. Let's see. A brief synopsis has been revealed. The story begins 10 years after the dramatic events of Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, where Kenobi faced his greatest defeat, the downfall and corruption of his best friend and Jedi apprentice, Anakin Skywalker, turned evil Sith Lord Darth Vader. So that doesn't really tell us a whole heck of a lot, does it? But then again, maybe it shouldn't. Maybe it shouldn't. All right, so we wrap it up now with our final story. We're still sticking with Lucasfilm here for this one. This is a story that was sure to send Lucasfilm detractors scurrying to their nearest keyboard, to their nearest YouTube channel, and start filming immediately. Indiana Jones 5 has been greenlit, of course, and they are going to be filming. It's going to be coming to theaters. It says July 29th, 2022. So this baby is going to be up and ready to go pretty soon. They're going to be shooting pretty soon. So they ripped the Band-Aid off right up front and said Phoebe Waller-Bridge has been cast as apparently the female lead. Yeah, if you don't know who Phoebe Waller-Bridge is, I don't blame you. And in some ways, I envy you. But she played, what was it, L3, L7 or something in Solo. The most aggravating character probably in the Star Wars saga, bar none. Because, of course, a lot would point you to Jar Jar Binks or whoever, but no. L3, L7 was probably the most aggravating character. And they're rewarding her with that by putting her in Indiana Jones 5. Now, not only that, but fandom typically hates her as well, because from what apparently she's going to do to the 007 franchise in the next film, she did a writing pass, I think, at the script, where, of course, it's going to have, at least people are fearing this. Again, I am not precognizant of what the script is going to be on the shooting film, but apparently that she did some passes at the script that are going to make it more woke, and that 007 doesn't understand how, the feminist movement occurred during his 40 years or whatever, and he just happened to have not noticed. Anyway, there's no word on the rest of the cast. I'm still hoping to hear Karen Allen's going to be in it again. I don't know about Shia LaBeouf, but a lot of fans have taken to rampant speculation that this, of course, means that this film is going to be woke, that she is going to be playing Indy's successor, which I think is probably the most ridiculous claim. But on the other hand, the good news is John Williams, God bless him, is coming back once again, one more time. He finished the Star Wars saga, and he wants to finish the Indiana Jones saga, and I commend him for that, because at his age, he's got to be over 90 now, right? At his age, he is still working strong, working up a storm. And he is going to provide the soundtrack, the score, for Indiana Jones 5. So let me read the copy here. Let's see. Phoebe Waller-Bridge is set to star alongside Harrison Ford, who will reprise the role of the legendary adventurer Indiana Jones. No details on her character were provided, but the press release would seem to suggest that she'll be playing the female lead. Now, this is making me wonder, is she going to be doing like Kate Blanchett last time, playing a villain? I would think that's probably more likely than they're going to try to make her a love interest or a mentor or a successor. I can't see them working her in any other way than as a villain. Of course, they could always do that thing that I'm afraid they're going to do with Obi Wan and just have her be the female lead, making her like the smartest person in the room and so on and so forth. It's also been confirmed that John Williams will return to score the film, continuing a musical journey which began 40 years ago with Raiders of the Lost Ark. James Mangold will direct the film and was quoted as saying, "I'm thrilled to be starting a new adventure, collaborating with a dream team of all-time great filmmakers. Stephen, Harrison, Kathy, Frank, and John are all artistic heroes of mine. When you add Phoebe, a dazzling actor, brilliant creative voice," oh, don't say that, brilliant creative voice. I'm all right, I'll get it together. And the chemistry she will undoubtedly bring to our set, I can't help but feel as lucky as Indiana Jones himself. Kathleen Kennedy, ooh, shiver just saying that name. Steven Spielberg, Frank Marshall, and Simon Emanuel will serve as producers. The still untitled Indiana Jones 5 swings into theaters July 29th, 2022. So, there you have it, folks. What do you think? What do you think is going to happen here? I mean, I kind of made light of this on Twitter that everybody's losing their minds already. But, you know, this doesn't bode well, does it? It doesn't bode well. Because we already seen what she brought to Star Wars before. There's a lot of talk about what she's going to bring to James Bond. So I really don't want to have her sinking her claws into Indiana Jones, the last alpha male that we have at our disposal. We don't have any others. That's it. They've already emasculated Luke Skywalker. Han Solo's dead. They managed to keep him at least masculine enough until the end. It's sad, but I'm going to try to be cautiously optimistic again that they are going to try to do the right thing with Indiana Jones, because I don't think Harrison is sort of a no-nonsense guy. You know what I mean? I don't really see them completely and totally emasculating his character, because then why is he there? He could have just left this one alone. He's coming back. Harrison Ford is coming back for a reason. It's because he wants to end this franchise on his own terms. Indiana Jones is a character that's near and dear to him. It's not like Han Solo. Han Solo he doesn't care about. Han Solo was a paycheck. Han Solo, he did it, you know, for the money, as I said, but, you know, to give the fans that closure, he came back. Indiana Jones, though, is near and dear to him. He is not going to ruin Indiana Jones. He's going to do Indiana Jones because he has something to say about the character. And, you know, good or bad, we'll see what it is that they have to say. But I'm not going to really just completely stress out about this yet. I think between James Mangold and Harrison Ford, they're not going to go too crazy with letting Phoebe Waller-Bridge run amok. I'm hoping. We'll see. All right, so let me know what you think in the comments below. What do you think the future portends for Indiana Jones 5? Are you going to see Indiana Jones 5? I know I will. I love Indiana Jones. I love Harrison Ford, you know, his take on the character, and most of his characters in general are all great. And we'll be getting probably the last big role of his iconic career. I mean, you know, he'll still act, I'm sure, but I mean, we've seen him play Han Solo, his last. We've seen him play, what was this Blade Runner character's name? Deckard. Seen him play him last. This is the last time for Indiana Jones, folks. So a lot of people like to laugh and joke. And, you know, I was there for when Star Trek was going through that. It was the final 2-3 movies of Star Trek. They started doing the old age jokes. Oh, yeah, Star Trek 7, you know, where no, you know, rest home has gone before, and all those jokes. I get it. Harrison Ford's going to be 80. But he deserves respect. You put some respect on that man's name. He gave us, I would say, 4 great movies. I mean, I know Crystal Skull wasn't a masterpiece, but he gave us 4 great movies. Let him go out on his own terms. Let him do Indy 5. And just don't screw it up, please. That's all we ask. Don't screw it up. Let's see that he gets out on a high note. I don't think Crystal Skull was bad. I thought it was a good, I mean, in a way, it brought everything full circle. You know what I mean? It brought back with Raiders and Marion. And I hope we get, Marion back. I hope we get maybe Sala back. Like I said, I like to see a lot of those old, but I mean old faces return. Short Round, Willie Scott. I'm trying to think. What was the name of the guy from Crystal Skull that took over from Marcus? I don't remember what his name is. I think that actor might have died as well, though. So they might have to have another person that's the new curator of the museum. All right, so, and college, I guess. All right, and so that about wraps it up for another stellar edition. I thought we were going to go even longer than this, but I guess I was able to keep it a little briefer than usual. We will try to be back at our next earliest convenience, hopefully on Saturday, for the only way to spend your Saturday here with us on the Johnnie Torch live broadcast. And as I said, I'm going to try to be doing some of these things. We've got a lot of work to do, though. I got a lot of work on my book still to do. The Adventures of Old Suburban Private Eye. Check the link in the description below for our website. And I am still working hard on issue number 8. And I am probably not going to make my May deadline, but I'm going to try my level best to get this book done in a timely fashion. I had to go back and change a few things. The color scheme wasn't working for me. Once I get through with the next scene I'm doing, which is going to be about another page or two, it's going to probably go a lot more faster. So not too concerned, but we are really only halfway through with the coloring. So we've got some more work to do there. Once I get past the next 2 pages, the coloring should come a lot faster because there'll be less characters to color. And, right now it's a big group setting and there's a lot of different colors and a lot of different characters wearing a lot of different clothing. So, it's a little bit more cumbersome. All right, so thank you for joining us. Thank you for subscribing. And again, I'll try to provide some more content for you. I don't know also if I'm going to go back to the Batwoman reviews. I had to put them aside for a while there. That show. But it seemed to be getting a couple of views. So for me, that's always the point, give the people what they want. If I get enough people wanting Batwoman reviews, I'll go back to reviewing Batwoman. But all right, and so that'll about wrap it up. Until next we meet, this is Johnnie Torch reminding you once again, keep the flame burning brightly, and I'll be with you again real soon.